Couldn't walk a mile in these Air Maxes. From the streets where a murder is a scare tactic. We bear ratchets for enemies trying to flare at us. You hesitating, you die, best be prepared at it. It's automatic, but it's just another day of life. Whatever dues I had to pay them twice. But I ain't tripping, it's part of the mission. Struggle gave a nigga vision, bring the shit to fruition.
Yeah, what's going on with everybody? Nico TV, the voice of the West here. We about to break this down. Another installment for the Let's Unpack That series. As y'all know, tend to have a lot of narratives out here in the West. Man. A lot of narratives. Some I might create some myself. But then some, they get created in other places, and we got to unpack that. We got to unpack the narrative, and there's a particular narrative that I've seen. It was brought to my attention. We even had a couple Discord discussions about it. So I said, what better way to get back active and outside and back into the content creation? You know what I'm saying? We got to get the content created. Nico, start talking about this shit again. I thought what better way than to go ahead and pull up to the grassroots, casual conflicts versus shots fired, Crossfire. Event that I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was in the double digits in terms of the battles. I think maybe 10 to 12. If I'm misspeaking, somebody correct me. Somebody correct me. But it's a full card. A lot of names that we already know, some names that people might not know as well, but all defending for their home turf. A little bit in lines with what Magnitude once was. Just a little bit, just specifically one league versus another. And I think this is a very, very dope concept. So I'm not going to be doing predictions per se today. We're definitely going to get more content on this event and talk about it some more and really break down what this card actually means for the West, what it's going to mean going forward. All of that. We've discussed a little bit of it on Discord, but I kind of just wanted to give my thoughts on this particular card. And are cards like this a good thing? Is this divisive in the West, or is this something that's needed? Because it was brought up on Discord, and I wanted to kind of give my own personal take on it. So to comment first and foremost, salute to Casual Conflicts, EVG, you know what I'm saying? Shots fired. You know what I'm saying? K-Field, Griffin, man. Yeah, listen, y'all are some of the elder statesmen of the West. Both of you have been around for 10 years now, plus. You know what I'm saying? You guys have at least a decade in the game of putting on for the West, giving people opportunities, trying to help develop and cultivate talent. And so we got to salute that. Regardless of, opinions on battles that may or may not happen, quality, develop, all the other things that you can be critical of. When you have two people or two leagues that have been around this long, there's some wisdom to that. There's some knowledge to that. There's some staying power that I feel should be applauded, because we've seen over time how many leagues in the West have not been sustainable. So my opinion about this is very dope. I think concept wise, I think it's dope. This wasn't like we're just gonna throw a bunch of names on the card and get people who probably aren't really here as our home league, but we're just gonna grab them and just say that they are just for the sake of it. No, I think this is homegrown talent. These are people who have a direct connection to these leagues, and I think it's dope. So I would say this. I think the West needs more of this. Maybe not something that needs to be every event. No, because you lose the impact. You lose certain things by just doing stuff, in that way consistently, right? You got to have a certain limit to it. So I don't want to say every event it should be, but I would say 2-3 times a year, I'm not mad at it. I'm not. Because I think the essence of what West Battle Rap was built on was competition. There was a time period where it didn't matter your rank. It didn't matter who you had battled or where you had battled at. If you were somebody who felt you were better than another person, somebody would battle you for that. Now, obviously, in a day and age where there's branding, there's, um, the ego in terms of taking a win or a loss in a judge situation or feeling like somebody who you really don't feel like is on your level, and the pride of, I'm not going to give this person the opportunity to battle me, you're not on my level, that would make sense. In an age where that is at an all-time high, I think it's important to remind people of what the essence of this shit is. Especially when you have battle rappers who are still in a position to improve to another level. People who have been around for some time, people who are a little bit newer, who are looking to get to those new levels. I think it's very important that we're able to have things like this. So getting to the card itself, again, I'm not going to be doing predictions per se today. I will be, doing more content for this event because I feel like it needs a proper rollout, right? What I will say is, on first glance, you hear shots fired, you hear casual conflicts. On first glance, shots fired finna fuck them niggas up. Brass shots fired. Y'all know who came for shots fired? Y'all know who over there? We gonna smoke them. Then I took a closer look, right? Let's look at the matchups. Let's observe the matchups for a second. Okay, these are actually some pretty solid matchups. Okay, I do see some that are pretty, it might be a lopsided battle. Okay, I see others that are very strong. Okay. I said, okay, this might actually be a fight. This might come down to, main event, co-main event. This might come down to them last 2-3 battles. It might be that. Right? And I would like to say, in just the first initial reaction analysis for this, I think it's dope that somebody like Brett, who's been around since 2017, is main eventing a card like this. I think Trey Foe, being somebody who has always shown love, for the media space, he jumped into the ring as a battle rapper and immediately showed that he was somebody who was different. He was original. He has, definitely content and a way of presenting that content in a way that's like, man, this dude could be a star, right? And I think them main eventing I think that's dope. I think especially the timing of it, I think this is the perfect timing for something like this. It's a perfect situation for somebody like Trey Foe who, has had some hiccups here and there. And we know what his potential is. So what better way to say, okay, look, we're going to give you the main event slot on a card like this where everything's on the line, right? And we're going to give you somebody who recently has been on his shit, who has been improving. The last 2 years, Brad has been on his shit. Whether you like the material or not, whether you want to critique the performances or not, that man been on his shit and been working. And I won't say we, let me just speak for myself. I personally appreciate those who put in the work. I think people a lot of times get away from the work because you're able to get the praise from people and get told that you're next up and get told that, you're him, when really, in all actuality, you're not. Right? And so I appreciate somebody who just said, no, I'm going to put in the work and the work going to speak for itself. So I think them main eventing was very dope. I think a Sab Chip came. I think there's a lot of good things about this card where I'm like, man, I'm actually like, I'm looking forward to seeing what y'all create. I'm looking forward to it. St. Vic being on the card. I'm looking at this card. I'm seeing Grimy Graham on the card. I'm like, all right, Grimy Graham, he returned to battle rap last year. I see certain names. I like this. right? So that was my initial reaction. And I will say, casual conflicts, I might have been flagrant. I might have prejudged that y'all was gonna get smoked. I can admit it. When I heard it, I said, "Oh, casual conflicts in trouble." And when I started looking at the matchups, I said, "You know what? I don't know about the whole roster that they sending over there, but there's some hitters that they sending over there that these matchups is in their favor." So I would be shocked. This is my opinion. I would be shocked if one of these leagues won the majority of the battles. Like, say if it was something like, I'm just saying hypothetically, I don't remember the exact number of battles, but let's say there are 10 battles on the card. If a league won 7 or 8 battles, I would be shocked. I'd be like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. I would legitimately be shocked. To me, I think this is more of a 5-5, 6-4. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think it's somewhere in that variety, right? And maybe even 7. Maybe let's say somebody is off their game and somebody picks up a win. But I just think that the way the matchups are set up, I think it kind of lends itself more to a competitive event. So that was my initial thing with it. I think that that's dope concept with the event. Now, the other angle that I mentioned earlier was, do I think that this is a good thing for the West? You know, it was brought up last night on the Discord that it could be divisive. You know, you kind of want to go at everybody else, you know, versus go at each other. And that's a fair assessment because there is an angle in which you can look at it and say, man, this could be divisive. It's fair to say. The reason I would go against it and say I don't agree that it's a negative thing is that on most cards we have here, there's always going to be somebody who represents a league battling somebody else who represents another league, and it's a random battle with no impact, and they're battling. Happens all the time, right? The West is built on people competing. Like, I don't know if anybody realizes this, but in the West, we have the only scene where it is entire region that's going to war with each other. You know what I'm saying? Iron sharpens iron. You get what you had to really think about what I'm saying right now. When you talk about the South and battle rap, you're talking about leagues that are out there, some of the top tier variety, and there are some local grassroots scenes. Like I know in Florida has a battle rap scene, right? I know in particular Miami are good things about it out there, right? I've heard good things about like you got OSBL, right? That's out there in the East Coast, right? Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. But when you talk about an entire region, there is not a region of everybody is partaking. Like we have 9 states technically. There are 9 states, right? But there are legitimately right now 8 different states that have produced battle rappers that are actively battling across the West region right now, right? And all of them are actively competing against one another. And the unique thing about it is it's all for West. Of course, you represent your city, you represent the state you're from, right? You obviously, that's goes without saying. Northwest, for instance, they have their own scene within the Western Conference, right? They're a part of the West. They are the West scene. Do they have their own individual scene? Yes, but they've also pulled up throughout the states and put in work. And if you look just across the landscape of battle rap, we have the only unique scene of that variety. Bro, there are people who go from California to New Mexico. There are people who go from New Mexico to the Northwest, Northwest to Utah, Utah to Arizona, like Vegas, you know what I'm saying? Vegas, Nevada, going to California. Like, you think about what I'm talking about. So to me, a concept like this, I don't think it's divisive. I think it actually builds the West, builds a camaraderie, because now we get back to the era of we're pushing for the league. we are all here at this home league. This is our home base. So whenever I'm being challenged by somebody whose home league is another league, there's a certain pride in, hey, Casual Conflicts up one right now. Hey, Shots Fired, we up one right now. There's a pride that comes with that because it's just certain things that are said, just in passing. You know how it is. You get competition. You know how people talk. So I think that this is definitely a good thing. I think it definitely builds character. I think having it be judged and having it be something where there's finality is also going to be a good thing. And so I like to commend Casual Conflicts and Shots Fired for coming together, putting something like this together. And I think also too, on the development side of the game, I think too, sometimes with your development, sometimes you need to be put under the fire. Sometimes you need to be in a situation where you have to perform to get the results you're looking for. I think far too many times we get caught up in this space where it's almost like competition is a bad thing. Like, it's almost like it's looked down upon. Like, oh, we're competing. Oh, no. Like, nah, go to war. You know what I mean? I think it's a good thing, right? So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this. Like I said, I'm not doing predictions per se today. I do have some predictions already. I already have kind of my mind made up on a couple of matchups, but I'm going to give it some more time, some more due diligence. I'm looking to see the promo run. I've been seeing certain posts, in the conference. Definitely would like to, get some more people, on the Discord, get some people to pull up and all that kind of stuff. I would like to kind of, help drive the conversation, help, promote this to the level I think it should be promoted to. I think that this is a good thing going on in the West, man. Definitely do. So again, salute Casual Conflicts, salute Shots Fired. I don't really have anything else per se to really bring up about this. I will have more content. Obviously, we're going to have predictions. Obviously, we're going to have a prediction show as well on Discord. And who knows? I mean, a card like this and the kind of conversation that's been created and been talked about, future cards and matchups, we might have to have a conversation as well. So again, we're gonna table that for another day. But definitely appreciate y'all, for tuning in, listening. If you can, man, hit the like, drop a comment if you feel like you do. And if you want to give your predictions, if you want to give your assessment of it, man, drop it in the comment section. You know what I'm saying? Definitely appreciate y'all taking the time listening to me unpack this narrative. Shots fired at a Casual Conflict. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening in the West. That's all I got for y'all, man. Nico TV, the voice of the West. I'm signing out. Keep it battle rap. And as always, keep it West, man. We out.